Welcome to the site-specific safety orientation for the MSD Deer Creek Pump Station project. Following this video, you will be asked to acknowledge each section and all elements of the orientation and site safety requirements or hazards. A brief overview of this pump station project includes pouring of a 7-foot thick concrete floor at the bottom of each shaft, vertical concrete walls going all the way up and out of the shafts, stair and elevator structures, miscellaneous steel work, supporting electrical and mechanical work, and buildings that go over the top of each structure. Fall protection. There must be 100% compliance with KCI's fall protection program, and 100% tie-off protocol must be followed when working at a height of 6 foot or greater and not fully protected by a full guardrail system. 100% tie-off is mandatory when using or working out of man baskets with sides that are open above the guardrail. Personal protective equipment. Hard hats are required at all times. Safety glasses are also required at all times and must meet ANSI Z87.1 standards and be equipped with side shields. High visibility vests or apparel are required when working around mobile or heavy equipment. Additional PPE is required based on other tool and work hazards. For example, KCI requires a face shield over safety glasses during activities that result in flying debris, such as the use of demo saws, chop saws, and grinders. Daily job safety analysis. All site personnel must participate in a daily job safety analysis or safety in production huddle. This is a documented meeting held each shift to in detail describe and discuss the work to be performed that day, equipment to be used, hazards, effective controls, and required personal protective equipment. Confined space. Confined space definition has limited access and egress, generally one way in and one way out. It is not designed for continuous occupancy. It's large enough for someone to enter. These shafts meet the definition of a confined space. Permit versus non-permit confined space. A permit-required confined space has some other serious hazard. Since we are controlling all other serious hazards in the space, these shafts are not permit-required spaces. Atmospheric conditions. Each shaft will have a competent person equipped with a 4-gas air monitor to verify a safe atmosphere. In order to maintain a safe atmosphere, there can be no gas, diesel, or propane-powered equipment in the shafts. Confined space and underground work. Atmosphere. Due to the possibility of an atmospheric change in the shafts, the atmosphere will be checked continuously with a 4-gas monitor. If the gas monitor alarms, all persons will evacuate the shaft and the safety department will be contacted immediately to review the cause of the alarm condition. Check-in and check-out procedures. Each top person or shaft supervisor will keep track of every person who enters and exits the shaft. No one will enter the shaft without checking in and checking out upon exiting. Silica and respiratory hazards. At the Deer Creek site, a variety of concrete work will be performed. Poured in place for the interior vertical concrete walls, flat work, and all site work around the job site. Activities include placement of new concrete, drilling, coring, and saw cutting. Any silica dust exposure must be stopped at its source by the use of water or vacuums, and all work must comply with OSHA's 1926.1153 Respirable Crystalline Silica Table 1. Hoisting and crane setup. Crane setup. Tires on rough terrain cranes must be off the ground, transferring all loads to the outriggers. Rule of thumb, outrigger cribbing must be 3 inches to 12 inches thick and at least 3 times the square foot of the outrigger foot or pad. Hoisting and personnel man basket. Man baskets will be tested and inspected daily by each crane operator. 100% fall protection is required in open-sided man baskets. If exiting the man basket onto a structure, the basket must be secured to the structure and 100% tie-off must be maintained. Hoisting and crane inspection. Daily inspection. Hoisting cable will be inspected daily for wear, broken strands, or wires, and properly wrapping on the drum. Cable run out and down long distances has a tendency to rotate and it will stretch to some degree. Crane inspection. Daily inspections will include items such as the cable for bird caging, outrigger function, fluid leaks, radio function, and safety devices such as load moment indicator and anti-tube lock devices, etc. Hoisting safely. Line of fire will be avoided by announcing with air horn blast that loads are being lowered into the shaft, verifying that all persons are in safe positions, securing all tools, materials, and loose components before hoisting. And tag lines will be used as necessary to ensure loads are controlled. Hoisting and radio signaling. Elements of voice signals. Each series of voice signals shall contain 3 elements, stated in the following order: function and direction, distance and/or speed, and function stop. Here are some examples of correct voice signals. Swing right, 50 feet, 25 feet, 15 feet, 10 feet, 5 feet, 2 feet, swing stop. Or lower load, 100 feet, 50 feet, 40 feet, 30 feet, 20 feet, 10 feet, 5 feet, 3, 2, 1, lower stop. Or hoist load slow, slow, keep hoisting, slow, hoist stop. The signal person will give directions from the operator's perspective. When describing distance, give the distance remaining, not the distance traveled. Example, lower, 50 feet, 40 feet, keep lowering, 30 feet, 20 feet, 10 feet, 5 feet, 3, 2, 1, lower stop. Let the operator know when he or she is close to the spot that they are to stop. Example, about 3 feet, 2 feet, 1 foot, swing stop. Once the task has begun, the signal person should never break communication with the operator. This is referred to as maintaining constant communication. All voice commands must be clear, clean, and constant. Never unkey the microphone while the load is moving. The signal person should maintain constant communication to let the operator know everything is still all right. As an example, slowly down, slow, slow, slow. If the signal person breaks communication, the operator should stop immediately. The operator will then acknowledge the signal person by name and will continue only when the signal person regains constant communication. If the operator sees something and needs to communicate with the signal person, the operator will stop and give 1 blast of the horn to alert the signal person. The signal person will break constant communication and the operator will notify the signal person of the problem. Critical picks. KCI defines critical picks primarily as a hoisting operation that exceeds 75% of the rated capacity of the hoisting equipment and/or the use of 2 cranes to hoist an item, and hoisting of high dollar value items, long lead items, hoisting of loads onto or into buildings, hoisting of irreplaceable one-of-a-kind items, and the hoisting of personnel. Pre-lift meetings must be held prior to critical picks to review the completed critical pick form, the rigging plan, qualifications of signalmen, riggers, operators, and verification of equipment inspection, safety devices, and crane stability, as well as additional hazards related to delivery, access, barricading, etc. Rigging. Inspect prior to each use. All rigging must have tags listing capacity and size. Properly store all rigging, keep off the ground, clean, and lubricated if applicable. Tag out of service and remove from the site if damaged. Hoisting and rigging. All rigging and hoisting will take place under the direction of a qualified rigger and signalman. No loads will be hoisted without first knowing the weight of the item and any other devices hanging from the tip of the crane that pose a load on the hoisting equipment. Open rigging practices are prohibited. All chokers will be secured in a closed hook with a safety latch, a shackle, or similar device. Near miss, incident, and injury reporting. What is an event, incident, or injury worthy of reporting? Any event resulting in minor injury to an employee, requiring first aid, having the potential to cause minor or serious injury or damage, having all the characteristics of an incident or injury, but no one got hurt and nothing got damaged, and hazards that have the potential to cause minor or serious injury or damage. If these are not reported, they may be repeated and with more serious consequences. Every event resulting in injury, damage to equipment, property, persons, including KCI employees, subcontractors, or the public, must be reported as well. Emergency response and evacuation. In the event of a serious incident or emergency, site employees are authorized to call 911. Following emergency services contact, the KCI superintendent will facilitate proper response and site coordination. The gathering point, or the muster point, is in front of the KCI project trailer. The daily JSA forms and check-in, check-out forms will be used to verify that all personnel are at the evacuation point. Emergency or critical communication. One long blast on the air horn will signal a need to the crew in the shaft to make contact over the assigned radio channel. If necessary, the order will be given over the radio to evacuate the shaft, and the crew will load into the 12-person man basket and exit the shaft. The 12-person man basket will be used as primary entry and egress to the shaft. If ordered, there will be no hesitation. All activities will stop and the crews will exit the shaft. Power and hand tools and electrical hazards. Ground fault circuit interrupters, GFCI, must be in place on all construction power circuits. All temporary power cables, air hoses, and similar items will be supported to prevent stress on the hose or the cable or connection points. All hand, power, pneumatic, and powder actuated tools will be inspected prior to use and only operated by trained, authorized, and/or certified personnel. Tool tethers may be used to prevent hand and power tools from being dropped. Site communication and voice signaling. Channels used for voice signaling. Channel number 1 for AB1. One blast will be used on the air horn for hoisting into the shaft. Channel number 2 will be used for AB2. Two blasts on the air horn will be used for hoisting into that shaft. Channel number 3 will be used for the wet well. 3 blasts on the air horn will signal hoisting into the shaft. Channel number 4 will be the main channel for general site communication. Disciplinary action. All site workers agree to comply with the established site-specific safety requirements. Failure to do so will result in the use of the disciplinary policy. KCI's disciplinary policy is not a step-by-step process. Disciplinary action will be determined by the severity of the hazard and the employee's knowledge of the requirements.